Hello everyone, welcome. In this video, we are going to explain the difference between AWS users and roles. Okay, so I can guarantee you 9 out of 10 or even 10 out of 10 as a cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, or even a developer, you'll be working in and around what we call AWS roles and users. So to that end, we need to understand the core concept around this. Okay, this terminology sometimes get a bit confused about new users. Okay, so therefore we are going to break this down to the simplest form so you'll be able to you know understand this and use it wherever you are. Okay, right, let's go forward. So IAM users, okay, these are what we call permanent entities. By that we mean a person or application that will have what we call a permanent or long-term credentials. What are these credentials? The credentials are the username, password, or what we call access key, secret key. When you are going to access your application or your AWS on your command line, you're going to use secret key or access key. Okay, that is the long-term credentials. Again, credentials are how you're going to authenticate. By that we mean your username, password. Who are you actually? So you use that by saying, oh, this is my username, this is my password. Okay, and therefore once you assume or once you log in, okay, you have your permission attached to whatever is attached to this user. Okay, so think about it as an AWS user, as a permanent employer within your company. Okay, that have a permanent badge that you can walk into your office, okay, and log in successfully, no problem. You're a permanent worker. Okay, you have a permanent badge that you'll be able to do whatever you need to walk around the company based on your permission. Which office can you go in, which office you cannot go, that will be dealt with by your permission. Okay, so identity, just a permanent entity, user, yourself, one application that has a permanent long-term username, password to access your AWS resources. Okay, so with this, you have to manage your credentials. These credentials are long term. You need to make sure you rotate it. You need to make sure you keep it safe at all time. You don't need to expose that. So the onus is on you for the management side of things. Okay, let's look at IAM role. So roles are just temporal. So these things are assumed. So an entity as a person or an application or what we call trusted entity, okay, or another AWS account can assume a role. What do we mean by assume a role? It will take a temporary identity with the permission to assume a role, okay, assuming a role, and then the required permission, you'll be able to do what you need to do. So this thing will have what we call a temporary session token. Okay, the temporary session will determine the duration, how long you are allowed to do whatever you need to do. Normally, I think maximum is 12, so you have a 12-hour session token. That token can expire. Okay, so that is why we say these are temporary credentials. Okay, the user assume a role will be issued what we call the secret key, access key, okay, with session token, and that session token is going to expire. Okay, depending on your configuration, how you set it up, between 1 and 12 hours. This is how you're going to assume a role. Okay, so in a nutshell, I believe this is helping. Okay, keep following. We almost done now. So the credential side of things. So the permanent credential versus temporary credential. Again, it goes along with the users who have a permanent credentials. Okay, they need to manage that. The role will have a temporary credential. The person, application, or the entity, assuming the role, doesn't need to worry about management of these credentials. Okay. Again, the role, the session, or the credential will automatically expire. These things are dynamically generated, therefore they are dynamically or automatically expire. Okay. For temporary credentials, there's less risk of long-term, key being compromised. Okay. So based on your use case, normally if another entity want to assume a role, okay, let's say another AWS account would like to have access to your account, you use assume role. A service, EC2, let's say, want access to some S3 bucket to do some things, okay, it will assume a role. If you are a permanent worker and you need a long-term credential, you go for IAM users. Okay, but you can still use what we call IAM roles for what we call single sign-on. So in a nutshell, this is it. This is the main difference. Remember, users, everything is permanent. You need to manage things yourself. For roles, it's assumed temporary or have a session token, and you don't need to worry about that. Okay. So I hope this is helpful. If you're not too sure of anything, please put it in the comments, send me a message, use my email, communicate with me at any point in time. What I'll say is, like the video, keep sharing them, keep subscribing, and I'm happy to do more of such video. Okay. If you want any recommendation, any video you want me to do again, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Again, keep learning, keep learning. I will see you in the next video. Happy learning. Bye bye.